The next question we need to be asking is, what is the President of the United States of America and our 3-letter agencies that are designed to protect American citizens, what are they doing? That is the most critical question to be asking at this point. Hi friends, welcome back to Intentional Motherhood. I'm your host, Kelsey Redd. Can you believe it's already December? I can't believe we made it. I wanted to remind you that in the new year, we have our prayer-focused Bible study group starting, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm still figuring out what format we're going to do that, whether it's going to be on Patreon or on live Zoom calls, or maybe something else. We're figuring it out, but you're going to want to be a part of this because it's going to be an amazing journey that will change your spirituality and your relationship with God profoundly as we study how to connect and know Jesus in an experiential way rather than just in a mind way. We're taking the knowledge of Jesus and moving it down into our heart through an experience with Jesus. You're not going to want to miss this. So make sure you're signing up for my newsletter so that you know when this is getting started. Of course, the links are in the show notes. Grab it there. And I also want to let you guys know that at the end of the month, I'm going to be taking some time to really enjoy the Christmas season with my family. So we'll be taking about 3 weeks off here at the end of December, and we'll get back into it in January with a bit of a surprise, which I'll tell you more about as we get further into December. But just know we have some fun new stuff coming at Intentional Motherhood. Now let's dive into it. So it just feels like we really need to check back in on the Charlie Kirk case. It's been almost 3 months since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and so much has come out and been discussed, and theories have been presented in those 3 months, and I have been following them personally, but not really discussing them here on the program because it didn't seem relevant. But I feel like it's getting to the point where we really need to actually talk about some of these things and talk about what our role is and how this relates to us as mothers and women in this story that we're watching unfold, this history that is unfolding right before our eyes. It is truly such a remarkable time in the history of the world, and I think we are going to see major consequences that come from this moment of time that we are observing right now. I think we were all really highly affected by Charlie's assassination because most of us felt like, regardless of whether or not we agreed with everything he said or agreed with his political views and agendas, he was not violent. He was not a threat. Whether you like him personally or not, the point is that a peaceful U.S. citizen who was exercising their right to free speech peacefully and standing up for that main point in every aspect of his career, actually inviting his enemies, those who truly opposed him, to come and have civilized discussions as part of exercising our right to free speech. In that act, he was silenced. In that act, he was neutralized. And that is very alarming. And if you don't feel very alarmed by it, you should. You should feel very shook up by the fact that this happened and that it was okay. Now, I think at this point in the investigation, it's clear to most, if not all of us, that a 22-year-old boy acting alone with no training, with almost no time to plan such a intricate mission, was able to pull this off by himself. And the question is, of course, who else was involved? And let me just remind you of the definition of a conspiracy. The definition of a conspiracy is any time 2 or more people conspire or work and plan together to make something bad happen. So do I think there was a conspiracy in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Absolutely. I don't believe that Tyler Robinson, in and of himself, with no planning, help, coordination with anyone else on this earth, pulled off the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, how far you want to take your conspiracy theories is up to you. But working with the definition of 2 or more people planning and coordinating together to make something bad happen, I think we can all but guarantee that this was a conspiracy theory. And again, this should be very alarming to you. And the reason why is because at this point in the investigation, we don't have any evidence from the FBI, from even the state prosecutors in Utah, that there is a goal to charge and prosecute more than just Tyler Robinson. And we need to ask ourselves why. Why are we not looking for more information? Why does it feel like the people who have the responsibility to be deeply investigating this are doing minimal investigative work, while those of the independent media are doing all of the heavy lifting in this investigation? This is a reason for concern, in my opinion, because how are we to trust the justice system? How are we to trust the FBI when it feels like they have been less than transparent about several things recently? However, it brings up a very important point, which is that we have more power. We as the people have more power than we have had in a long time because we are no longer confined to receiving only what the legacy media wants us to see and hear. This is a huge breakthrough, and I think this is the reason that this Charlie Kirk case will be different than every other suspicious political assassination in the past, because we are not listening to the narrative that the media is trying to sell us, and we have so many outlets to consume news from other sources who are not being controlled in what they can say and report on. So this is critical, and this is why I'm raising my voice as a part of that independent media that I'm referring to. Obviously, I understand that my platform is small and that I'm not reaching hundreds of thousands and millions of people like some other independent media investigative podcasters are. Okay, I'll just say it. I'm talking about Candace Owens, okay? We're going to talk more about her, so I might as well just put it out there now. Of course, I'm not reaching those kinds of crowds. However, I am speaking up out of a feeling of duty and personal responsibility to do what's right. And I'm doing this because I hope that by my voice, that I will encourage you to also raise your voice. Because now we get to some of the new updates in the Charlie Kirk case, specifically the threats that have been made against Candace Owens. And these, again, are so serious and should be taken so seriously, because the question is not, was she pranked? Is there really evidence? First of all, we can ask, do we believe Candace Owens? Because she believes these claims are true. And I have found no reason to not believe the evidence that she has brought up about everything in this Charlie Kirk case, as well as her other investigative series, such as the Macron case. So I have no reason not to believe her. The next question that we need to be asking ourselves is not, well, who did she get this information from? Well, we want to see the evidence. The next question we need to be asking is, what is the President of the United States of America and our three-letter agencies that are designed to protect American citizens, what are they doing? That is the most critical question to be asking at this point. Because if they are not going to every length to protect American citizens from foreign governments, then that is something that the American people need to stand up and fight over. As you guys can tell, I get really worked up about this because this is the future of our country. This is the future of our world politics, and this is the future that our children will be growing up into. And I don't know about you, but this is not the country that I was raised believing that I was privileged to live in. These are not the lessons I learned when I learned about the founding fathers and the miracle of the Constitution of the United States of America. And this is a moment of truth where we figure out which direction our country is going. Are we an occupied nation, or are we a free sovereign country that will fight to protect the rights of every citizen of the United States of America? And that's what we're going to get into more in the next episode. Thanks for joining me. And in the meantime, as I collect more information and see where this is all going, I encourage you to step up, speak up, defend your rights, and defend the truth and the righteousness that you know. You guys, regardless of political opinions, it is critical that we protect American citizens and our rights, including the right to free speech, so that we don't have another Charlie Kirk assassination on our hands. I hope that hearing me talk about this makes you recognize that every voice matters. My voice is a very small voice, but I'm doing what I can to stand up for what I believe is right. And I encourage you all to do the same. One, because this is the country that our children will inherit. What we do now in this moment will define the country they live in 20 years from now and in 40 years from now. And secondly, to model for them the courage and the integrity that I know you want to teach your children. We all want our children to be brave and courageous enough to stand up for right and stand up for truth and have integrity. So we have to model that when it's hard, when it's scary, when it might cost us friends or followers or likes, we have to stand up. And I encourage you to do that. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next time on Intentional Motherhood. And in the meantime, remember, you are doing an amazing job.